She graduated, full of pride and excitement, and I was there, standing silently, as always. The years we had spent together seemed like a blur. College nights, late-night study sessions, shared dreams of a future we thought we would build together. But that day, as she handed me the divorce papers, I didn't argue. I didn't beg. I simply took the papers, signed them, and walked away. At the time, it felt like the natural thing to do. She wanted freedom, and I had learned early in our marriage not to stand in the way of her happiness. We had grown apart quietly, without arguments or fights, just a slow drifting away that neither of us noticed until it was too late. The papers in my hand were both a symbol of the end and a relief, though I didn't realize it at the moment. 10 years passed. 10 years in which life continued without her. I buried myself in work, travel, and projects that consumed my days and nights. Friends asked about her sometimes, and I would smile politely, say she was doing well, and move on. I had accepted the silence, the absence, the ghost of a life that could have been. I even convinced myself that the divorce had been mutual, a clean break for both our sakes. Then, one rainy afternoon, I got a call I never expected. The voice on the other end was familiar, yet aged in a way that only time could shape. "It's been a long time," she said. Her tone was hesitant, vulnerable even. She told me she had recently moved back into town, that life had taken her on unexpected journeys, and that she had thought of me often. I listened quietly, letting the sound of her voice bring memories I had long buried to the surface. She asked if we could meet. I agreed, though I felt a mixture of apprehension and curiosity I hadn't felt in years. When I saw her in the cafe that evening, she looked both familiar and changed. She carried herself with the confidence of a woman who had faced life head-on, but there was a softness in her eyes, a humility that hadn't been there before. We talked for hours, about careers, travels, mistakes, and regrets. She admitted that leaving had been harder than she imagined, that she had rushed into freedom without realizing how much she valued the bond we had shared. I shared my own life, my triumphs, my losses, the quiet moments when I thought of her, when I realized that some connections never truly fade. By the end of the evening, there was no bitterness, no blame. Just an understanding that life had moved us in different directions, yet had also left room for closure, for acknowledgement of the past. We parted with a handshake, a hug, and a silent promise that, despite everything, the years of separation had not erased the respect and fondness we once had. Driving home, I reflected on how silently signing those papers 10 years ago had shaped both our lives. Had I fought, had I begged, perhaps the outcome would have been different. But the quiet choice allowed us both to grow, to learn, and ultimately, to meet again not as strangers, but as two people who had survived the passage of time. Sometimes, the hardest choices are the silent ones. The ones made without drama or confrontation. The ones that require trust in the future, even when you cannot see it. Signing those papers felt like surrender at the time, but in retrospect, it was an act of wisdom, an acknowledgement that letting go can sometimes be the greatest act of love. And though 10 years had passed, I realized that some chapters never truly end. They simply wait for the right moment to be revisited, not with regret, but with understanding and grace.